I opened our marriage on our anniversary. My husband raged and took brutal revenge. Reddit stories, I stared at the photo in my hand like it had physically burned me. There she was, Chelsea, my wife of 7 years, tilting her face toward another man's lips, smiling like that kiss belonged to her. My fingers shook as I held it out to her. "Explain this," I said, my voice low and cracking. She glanced at it and shrugged. "It was just a kiss, Kyle. We were in public. It's not cheating." "Not cheating," that's what she said. "Like intimacy only counts behind closed doors." I laughed, bitter and broken. "Then give me his name," I demanded. Her lips clamped shut. "No." That silence told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't protecting me, she was protecting him. I felt something inside me snap, not from anger but from grief. The kind of grief that only comes when love dies by 1,000 lies. "Don't call me unless it's about our son," I said coldly. "You chose your truth, now I'll choose mine." I walked out, the echo of my own footsteps louder than her tears. That night in the motel, the emptiness wasn't just in the room, it was inside me. And yet somehow it was quieter than our marriage had been in years. The silence in the room was suffocating as I stared at the spreadsheet on my laptop. Chelsea's bank statements. Page after page, month after month, a second life unfolded right before my eyes. 8 years ago, she convinced me we should file taxes separately to save money. I trusted her. I thought she was being practical. But hidden behind that suggestion was the truth. She'd been stashing money in an account I never knew existed. Over $900,000, saved in secret. Not for college, not for emergencies, not for us. Just gone, tucked away for something I was never meant to be part of. I wanted to believe it was for our future, but the math didn't lie. This wasn't planning, it was preparing. Preparing for escape, preparing for the day she'd walk away and leave me blindsided. My chest tightened, not from the money, but from the realization that while I was building a home, she was building a parachute. One for herself, alone. I thought betrayal came in hotel rooms and lipstick on collars. I was wrong. Sometimes it hides in tax forms and false smiles. And now? Now I was done pretending I didn't see the cracks. I saw everything. I had planned everything. The folder, the confrontation, the ring on the table. I was going to take back my dignity, one truth at a time. But then the phone rang. Not Chelsea, the hospital. There'd been an accident, drunk driver. Side impact. ICU. I got there as fast as I could, but nothing prepared me for the sight of her, broken, bandaged, and barely breathing. But the real punch came after. "We ran some tests," the doctor said quietly. "Preliminary results suggest your wife may be HIV positive." The room tilted. My world unraveled. My first thought wasn't even fear for my health. It was rage at the web of lies I'd been sleeping beside. While I'd been loyal, she'd been reckless. And now even her body had become a battlefield of betrayal. I sat beside her, stared at her bruised face, and placed an envelope on the tray next to her bed. Inside, the photos, the proof, the ring. The story she wrote, with every choice she made. Then I slipped off her wedding band, placed it in my pocket, and whispered the words I didn't say at the altar, but should have. "Goodbye, Chelsea." The hospital room was too quiet, just the rhythmic beep of machines and the smell of antiseptic. Chelsea was awake now, pale, trembling, eyes darting from the divorce papers in her lap to the hard expression on my face. "You're really doing this?" she whispered. I didn't flinch. "You already did." She started crying, begging, bargaining. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said. "We can fix this." I almost laughed. Fix what? Her secret lover? The swinger cult she tried to sell as empowerment? The moment 3 men held me down in my own home while she deleted the evidence off my phone? No. Some damage can't be undone. "You don't get to hurt me and then play the victim," I said, voice calm but cutting. "You lied, you manipulated, you chose strangers over your family, over me." Her hands trembled as she reached for mine, but I pulled away. "I'm not here to reconcile. I'm here to end it." The papers were already signed. She just needed to do the same. "Please," she whispered. "Can we just talk?" I stood, slipping my hands into my coat. "We've already said everything. You just weren't listening." 2 weeks later, I stood outside her new apartment, keys in hand, staring at the place I'd leased in her name, using her half of our joint savings. It wasn't petty, it was precise. She'd made plans to start a life without me. I just helped her move into it. When Chelsea limped out of the passenger seat, assisted by her sister, I didn't say much. Just handed over the keys, the documents, and a binder labeled Final Agreements. She looked at me like I was heartless. But I wasn't. I was just finished. Everything you'll need is inside, I said. Utilities are set. Rent's paid for 3 months. After that, it's on you. Her sister started to speak, but one look shut her down. Chelsea opened her mouth too, tears pooling, but I stopped her. Don't. I gave you everything. My trust, my time, my name, and you traded it for secrets and strangers. This is me setting the boundary you never respected. I walked away before she could respond, my footsteps firm on the concrete. No yelling, no drama, just closure. Not the kind that comes with peace, the kind that comes with truth and the courage to walk away from a fire without trying to put it out. The courtroom was cold, not in temperature, but in energy, silent, tense, unforgiving. Chelsea sat across from me, polished and fragile, her lawyer whispering strategy in her ear like it would change the truth. She had filed a restraining order against me weeks earlier, claiming I was unhinged, unstable, even violent. But I came with receipts, audio recordings, deleted text messages recovered, and a full report from the PI I'd hired. Every falsehood she had crafted to paint herself as the victim unraveled under oath. The judge's gaze narrowed as the evidence played. Her lawyer paled. Chelsea cried. The courtroom wasn't moved. My attorney leaned over and whispered, "We've got this." And we did. Full custody of Bobby was granted to me. Her lies didn't just fail, they backfired. Her emergency claims were dismissed, her credibility shattered. There was no applause, no cheering, just quiet justice. As I signed the final papers, I looked at her one last time. Not with anger, not with hate, just clarity. "You almost cost me my son," I said. And still, I walked out of here the better parent, the better person. That was the day I didn't just win custody, I reclaimed my life. The first few weeks as a full-time single dad were brutal, but honest. No more secrets, no more pretending. Just me, Bobby, and a quiet house filled with Legos, microwave dinners, and laughter slowly returning. We had our rhythms, morning pancakes, homework battles, bedtime stories I never used to read. Healing wasn't loud, it was routine, reliable, real. And then came Emily. We met at Bobby's school. Her son was in the same class. A widow, soft-spoken but sharp. She didn't ask questions. I wasn't ready to answer. She just showed up, with an extra juice box for Bobby and a kind smile when I looked worn down. One day she invited us over for dinner. I said yes, not because I was looking for love, but because, for once, I didn't feel like I was bleeding anymore. That night, while the kids played video games in the living room, Emily and I sat on her porch, sipping coffee as the sun dipped behind the trees. "You're a good dad," she said quietly. I didn't know how to respond, so I just nodded. In that moment, I realized something simple and freeing. I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to show up, and I was finally doing that. Saturday mornings used to be chaos. Chelsea packing for a girls' retreat, Bobby glued to his iPad, and me pretending I didn't notice the lies in the air. Now, mornings were calm. I stood at the stove flipping pancakes while Bobby set the table, humming along to whatever pop song he was currently obsessed with. The house didn't feel empty anymore. It felt honest, clean, lived in, the kind of quiet that doesn't ache, just peace. After breakfast, we packed up for our usual hike, me, Bobby, and Emily. She had become part of our rhythm, not rushed, not forced, just there. She never pushed for more than I was ready to give. Some weekends she joined, some she didn't, but when she did, it felt natural. No pressure, no power games. Just connection. At the summit, Bobby snapped a photo of us, 3 smiling faces under blue sky. Later that evening, as I tucked him in, he whispered, "I'm glad it's just us now." I kissed his forehead and said, "Me too, bud." And I meant it. This wasn't a new chapter. This was a new book. One I was writing on my terms, honestly, quietly, and finally free. It's strange how healing sneaks up on you, not like a thunderclap, but like a sunrise. One morning, I looked in the mirror and didn't see a man betrayed. I saw a father, a survivor, a man who crawled through hell and walked out holding his son's hand. Chelsea was a ghost now, still around, occasionally texting, trying to stitch together a version of herself that didn't collapse under her own choices. I didn't hate her, not anymore. But I didn't owe her anything either. Emily was still in our lives. We weren't labeling it, and that was okay. She brought warmth, steadiness, and most of all, presence. something Chelsea never gave. Bobby was thriving. His laughter was louder, his eyes brighter. He no longer asked why Mommy left. He asked if we could make banana bread again. And that was enough. One night, sitting on the porch with Emily and a blanket over our knees, I realized something powerful. Surviving betrayal isn't the end game. Thriving after it is. I didn't rebuild the same life. I built a better one. Not perfect, but honest. And in the end, that's all I ever wanted.